It all happened in the middle of the school cafeteria, loud voices, slamming trays, and laughter echoing off the walls, when the unthinkable happened. A group of boys, loud and cocky, surrounded a girl named Amara. One of them reached out, grabbed her collar, and yanked it with a sneer. The room hushed in an instant. No one expected what came next. And no one would forget it. Amara was the new girl. She had transferred just 2 weeks ago, walking in with her books tied to her chest and her head held high. She wasn't loud. She wasn't flashy. She didn't try to fit in. And that made her a target. In a school where cliques ruled and bullies thrived off the weak, confidence was mistaken for arrogance, especially when it came from a quiet black girl who refused to shrink herself. The first few days were bearable, the usual whispers, the occasional snide remark. But Amara had been through worse. Back in her old town, she'd faced racism, bullying, and even betrayal from people she called friends. Her mother had told her, "Baby, when they come for your light, it means you're shining too bright." She remembered that. Every single day. But it got worse when she spoke up in class, correcting a boy who made fun of another student with a speech disability. She wasn't trying to be a hero. She just couldn't stay silent. That's when the bullies noticed her for real. Jace, the ringleader, tall, smug, always followed by his crew, didn't like being corrected, especially not by her. His pride was fragile. And he decided she needed to be put in her place. That day in the cafeteria, it started with a tray knocked out of her hands. Her food splattered across the floor. People laughed. She stayed calm, quietly bent down to pick up the mess, and stood up with grace. That irritated them more. Jay stepped closer, stared her down, and muttered something cruel about people like her. Then he grabbed her collar, yanking it like he wanted a reaction. He got one. But not the one he expected. Amara didn't scream. She didn't cry. She looked him in the eyes, full of fire and calm all at once, and said just one sentence. "Let go before you regret it." The room held its breath. Jay smirked. But the smirk cracked when Amara suddenly twisted his wrist, using a simple but sharp self-defense move her older sister taught her. In a blink, she had broken free, and Jay stumbled back, red-faced and shaken. She didn't hit him. She didn't curse. She just stood tall, picked up her backpack, and said loud enough for the whole cafeteria to hear. "You don't scare me. And you'll never break me." Silence. Then whispers. Then something strange, a slow, clapping sound from the back. It was Theo, a quiet boy who was always picked on, who had never spoken up for himself. Others joined in. Not all. But enough to make Jace realize he wasn't as untouchable as he thought. The next day, Amara walked into school not as the new girl, but as the girl who stood her ground. People began to see her differently, not as a target, but as a leader. A few even apologized for not stepping in sooner. And slowly, the tables began to turn. The principal called Amara into her office that afternoon, having reviewed the security footage. She expected punishment. But instead, the principal smiled and said, "I wish more students had your courage and your restraint." Amara didn't want to be a hero. She didn't want a spotlight. All she wanted was peace, and a place where people weren't afraid to be themselves. But in standing up for herself, she gave others the courage to do the same. Challenges she faced. The loneliness of being new and different. Facing racist and sexist microaggressions daily. Being targeted for her strength, not her weakness. The pressure to retaliate with violence, but choosing control instead. By the end of the month, the school had changed. Slightly, but meaningfully. A Respect and Empower group was formed, and guess who was asked to lead it? Amara declined leadership, but she helped behind the scenes. She wanted the school to belong to everyone, not just the loudest voices. Her story spread, not just in the school, but online. Someone had filmed the moment she stood up to Jace. The video went viral. People across the country were inspired by the girl who didn't flinch. But Amara didn't care about the views. She cared about the day Theo smiled at her and said, "Thanks for making me believe I could stand up too." That was enough.